Aljamain, welcome to the show, buddy.
How you doing?
Good, good. Man, I've been wanting to have you on for a while now, and it seems like you just got the opportunity got better and better and better, and then now you're the champ. So, like, I guess it just worked out perfect. Like for the first time I get to talk to you,
Yeah,
you're a champion already.
yeah. It's been a long journey, a long ride to get here, and still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, big fight this weekend. Did you happen to catch that? The McGregor versus, I guess you did, unless you're traveling.
Yeah. Well, they actually gave us tickets to go, so we went. So we got to watch live, and that was my first time being back at a live event for a UFC event with the fans since Adesanya versus Romero. So it was nice, refreshing to get back
Yeah,
to normal.
yeah. What'd you think about the fights? It's crazy, huh?
I thought they were really good. I mean, you had a couple standouts like their very first fight of the night. That kid Zumagulov
Yeah,
with the early guillotine choke, well ninja choke. You had Tuivasa, nasty knockout, and obviously the crazy performance of Sean O'Malley. Even though it was a guy on the debut, he looked great, and I don't think there's much more you can ask out of a guy like that to do what he did and look good while doing it. So some really good fights.
hats off to Mally for that. Yeah, I've always been quick to criticize him, but the thing is like he's playing, he's getting more on my better side every time I see him fight, and he's that's got to be tough, man. I mean, pressure is a tough thing to deal with, and it zaps your cardio, it zaps your mental state, it makes you question everything. It's like why you wrestlers are so good at fighting, because y'all use that kind of pressure, and that pressure breaks people, it crumbles people. So to have that kind of pressure on the whole time like that, and just to keep sideswiping and sidestepping and landing that jab and landing the right hand, like fuck, hats off to him for that, man. I mean, of course the guy can take a hell of a punch, but hats off to him for that.
That's a lot of work, like you said. That's a lot of work to stay on your toes and on your bike the entire time like that. That's not easy to do.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. So, and you got a big fight coming up. Looks like 3 months or so, right? They don't have a definite place or location yet for that, do they?
No, I actually saw Sean Shelby at the fights yesterday, and he said it's not definite yet for Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
which is great news. Um, we're both going to be training here in the States. Thailand is still closed, so that's what his manager told me, that it doesn't make any sense for them either. So we're both on the same page and the same boat. We'd rather fight here in the States, and I don't think we could do that unless it's either in November or December.
Yeah.
So we'll see, because October pay-per-view card is going to be in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And he's done training in Thailand before. He trains at a different gym down here. But the gym's changed a lot over the pandemic. So I think they changed all trainers and everything. So it might be different and for a few different reasons. But we are open. Just by the way, the borders did finally open on July 1st. So we finally can actually start taking people in without quarantine. It's gonna be a slow process though,
Okay.
because it's got to be vaccinated people. But how is it? How is it? Obviously controversy aside, I mean you can't look at it like that, and you're gonna get beat about something one way or another. But how has it been being a champ, man? Because you are a champ. I mean, you went out there, you fought for a championship. You did good. You fought hard. It doesn't matter anything else other than that. Which I mean, I can't believe I'm have to even justify that. But how does it feel to be a champ, man? How does that life feel? I mean, obviously you got to just stop and just think about it sometimes and be like, damn, I made it close to where you're at,
Yeah,
but I never even made it to the title shot.
yeah. No. Sometimes I was starting to wonder if it was ever even going to happen. Just having the opportunity, and that's all you can ask for, because that's pretty much why we all do this. Obviously, making money is one thing, but that comes with winning the belt. Well, more of it comes with winning the belt, and life's been good so far. I mean, obviously, I got the detractors mainly from Russia, but it's kind of fascinating to see the response from them, where they rather have a champion who doesn't know the rules of the sport that he's the champion of, or he's that malicious of a fighter and had every intent to do something illegal that he knew was illegal, from being told in the back room,
Right.
being told from the 10 seconds before maybe like 6 seconds before he actually threw the knee, and having his coach tell him, yeah, they said kick, but for him that was, yeah, throw the knee. So
Yeah.
it is what it
Stupid.
is. I know he was starting to come on in that round, and it was definitely getting ugly, but rules are there for a reason. I mean, if I was kicking his ass the entire time and then he throws an illegal knee, you're telling me he gets to keep his belt? I don't really understand that logic. So same thing like any other event. there's rules. You break the rules in such a way where you could be disqualified from the competition. That's what happens. And at the end of the day, we're going to run it back. So hindsight for me, I look at it glass half full. And the other side of it, I get more money. So like I've never had pay-per-view points before, so this would be the first time I actually get to partake in that. It's a big fight, and I also get a big pay bump as being the champion now. So I'm okay with it. It comes with its perks of this guy not knowing the rules to his sport, So I guess that's the way I could look at it. Glass half full. Like, would I rather not have taken that knee to the head? Yeah. I think that would have been much better. The ones you don't see usually do the worst kind of damage to you. So. This is where I'm at now.
Yeah, definitely. And then he seems kind of like a tough guy to like. I don't like to talk bad about anybody, and I keep very political, being that I have an interview show more than anything. But it seems like he's tough to deal with. On a side note, just from everything else that you're having to deal with, as far as it being him, the one that this happened with, and the controversy and everything else. But he also seems like it's just a tough guy to like. He's kind of like. He's not quite like Connor or like Chael, or like he's not humorous with it. It's not like, it's just kind of like, it seems like he's kind of an ass to me. This is what and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I get the same read, man. I've met him in Vegas before maybe 2019 when I was going to get my wrist fixed, and the girl Yuna Katskaya was there too, and she was kind of like the instigator in the situation. And he came in with his camera crew, and he came up to me. He said something like, "Why are you afraid to fight me?" I was like, "Wait, hold on. Who's ranked higher? Who actually beat higher ranked guys?" So it was like, as far as I know, I dictate where we fight. I'm not going to Russia. And she was kind of. He's just like, for me. Like I said before, I just don't think he's a good person, and I think. I would have to agree. I think like his jokes come off like they're not really jokes. They're like they have like malicious intent, and they're not really like Connor. I can laugh at all day long. Sean O'Malley, he's funny. He makes jokes. So like even if I had to fight a guy like that, I just feel like for him, you just seem like a dude I just would never want to hang out with.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just him and how they are in Russia. I have no idea.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's obviously going to be a lot more gratifying for you to get this fight the second time and do it another way, a different way. Obviously, that's your number one goal. Is there anything going on right now as far as like your camp or anything? Like, are you starting anything? I know you're 3 months out, but I mean, has anything ramped up, or is it just kind of chill mode right now?
I worked out 3 days in a row, which has been a first. Last night, I took the night off, obviously, for the fights, and drank a little bit, kind of get to unwind, taking today off. So today we do a little bit of just a relaxed muscle recovery day, and then tomorrow we start the week off again, and we're going to try to pick it up because I don't know when we're going to fight, and I don't want to be out of shape. I want to start to build those little muscles around the neck area that I had the surgery, and I want to make sure everything's kind of fine-tuning and start getting ready to go because for him, he's already cranking as if we're fighting in like 2 weeks, So I've been watching. I stalk my opponent's social media and watching his. He looks like he's going hard as if the fight was like in 2 or 3 weeks from now. Yeah. So. I don't have any intention of doing that, but I want to start to get the wheels going and just clean some things up and get sharper in some areas and figure out some tactical things I could do a little bit better. Even as tired as I was in that fight, I think there were some things that I think maybe because of the fatigue, you start to get sloppy with certain things. Yeah. And, they say the saying goes, fatigue makes coward of the toughest men. So, even though I'm not saying I was, obviously not a coward in that, but in terms of like just the technical approach, I think I could have been a lot cleaner. Even being tired, I think I got to get to a point where if I do get tired like that, there's a mental switch. Like, all right, we're gonna be tired, but we have to make sure we do everything while we're fatigued and do it clean as possible, and just kind of dial that in so that if I do hit that situation again, which I've never been tired like that in a fight before, and I don't think that's gonna ever happen again like that. So. Not from the very first bell. But I know what went wrong, and I just can't wait to just fix everything.
Yeah. As far as this fight in particular, is it one thing where it's a matter of getting through to it? Is anything changed, you think? Or are you changing a strategy for this second fight versus the first fight? Or is it just getting through the fight camp? It's kind of like you're redoing the first camp. Or is there something lined up a little bit different that you're planning?
I think it's more more or less the same. If there's anything different, I could maybe be not forced to wrestling as much because I didn't need it. But in my head, going into that fight, I need to get the takedown so that I can rest because I was exhausted. I was like, if I could get the takedown, I could just stall a little bit, throw a couple of shots here and there, kind of keep the ref off me. I could play the game and win the fight. And I was like, I just got to win 3 rounds out of the 5. I win the fight. That's my mentality going into that, where normally I'm like, I'm going to make a statement and I want to really like put a stamp on this opponent and let the world know kind of thing. And that wasn't my mentality going into this one. The day of, like before that, everything, I want to hurt this guy bad. But the day of, I was like, dude, I don't know what's going on with me today right now. This is unlike me, but I know why that happened and why I was feeling nauseous and everything. And it felt like I had an adrenaline dump at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It was the weirdest thing. And then I didn't fight till 8:30 and I just couldn't shake it. It was the craziest feeling that I've never felt before in my life.
All right, fellas, you want to help support the podcast? I know you do. All this content, all these interviews with these fantastic guests that we're putting out for you, well, now you can. And you can save 20% off and get free shipping by getting the best below-the-waist men's grooming products on the market. I'm talking about Manscaped. All you got to do is go to manscaped.com, manscaped.com, enter code QUICK at checkout, 20% off, and free shipping. Quick is my nickname. It is not how you use the product. Don't be silly, fellas. Come on. But Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and now they have the new Lawnmower 4.0, which is next level, the best trimmer on the market ever made. What makes it different? It has skin-safe replacement ceramic blades, controllable LED lights, wireless charging dock, and a 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology, and it's even waterproof. They also have a full line of hygiene and grooming products like the Shears 2.0 Luxury Nail Kit, crop mops, preserver, reviver, and a lot more. Manscaped has everything you need to appeal to your lady friend, but don't thank me, thank yourself. By going to manscaped.com, entering code QUICK, get 20% off, get free shipping. It's a win-win for you, it's a win-win for us, and you're supporting the podcast. So Aljamain, welcome to the show finally. Good to have you on board.
Thanks for having me.
I know this is like a second intro, man. We for the first time. Aljo is so cool. Let me tell you something, people. Aljo is super cool. This is for the first time in almost 100 interviews, man. And I had I'm coming off the worst interview ever. You don't even know about this, Aljo. You have to watch it, man. I was falling asleep on Dana White yesterday. It is the worst 2 days of my podcast life. Like, I almost had to cancel because I couldn't hold it together because I was so exhausted. It was a 6 a.m. podcast. I got no sleep, and I pushed all the way through all night. And then by the time I got to Dana, I was like a mummy, dude. I got through it. But if you want to see something funny, so coming off the cusp of that, I fuck up again against fucking Aljamain, dude. Unbelievable. Another champion. So he was so cool. He said, dude, let's just start over. Let's just get this thing going. And he was so cool, man. We had already had some great conversation. I feel so fucking bad, dude. I feel so bad. But anyway, man, obviously you saw the fights this weekend. They were real good. Anything surprise you? Or did everything go as you expected? I mean, Sugar Sean put on a hell of a show, did very good. Used his ring control very nice. Handled the pressure very nice. Burns did good. And, of course, Poirier.
Yeah, and I really liked the one with Bam Bam Tuivasa and
that too.
Greg Hardy. I thought that was a very fun fight for as long as it lasted. I mean, I think like a minute and 30, maybe 2 minutes. One guy gets hurt, and then the other guy comes back and cracks him back and ends up getting the finish. And I like what he said after. I was like, "You want to stand with me?" I like stuff like that. Like stuff like that, I get behind because it's like a little bravado, you know. And I think it's tough for people to be comfortable in their own skin to want to do something like that because it draws attention, and sometimes people can take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
But yeah, the O'Malley fight, that kid he fought took it on short notice, but he had a fight coming up. I just confirmed earlier today with Cage Fury that would have been a 4-rounder. So he was definitely in shape, which is why he could take so many shots to the head like that. And on top of that, the pressure he was able to keep on O'Malley the entire time was insane. Just kept walking forward. It was just almost like a zombie the entire time.
Yeah, absolutely. O'Malley looked amazing. What a way to handle pressure. That's a tough thing to deal with. I talk about this with my fighters as well. Putting a lot of pressure on somebody, you can really break them down, make them insecure. You can wear the cardio out. There's so many things you can do with pressure, and it's just like it didn't even faze him at all. Like he completely handled it well. There was a lot of pressure being put on him in that fight, and he didn't show any wear for tear.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if he's a wrestler or anything like that, but that's one of the things like we learned coming up as a wrestler. If you keep the pressure on guys, sometimes you can melt them. And a guy like one of my training partners, like Marab, will spar, and he'll keep the pressure on the entire time, just going forward. We have some of the most fun sparring sessions that I think a lot of people would ever see in a gym. A lot of back and forth. And then when you see what he does to guys in the fights, how he breaks their will eventually, and some guys just get deflated, it's a very tough thing to deal with, especially like you watch a guy like Khabib, that wrestler mentality and just I'm going to always go forward no matter what and stay as defensively sound and disciplined as I can. But when I can get my hands on you, that's like the worst part. Once the person grabs you, they're going to be on top for as long as it's going to last. And that's never a fun position to be in.
Yeah, especially with that guy, for sure. What about so your neck? You obviously had neck surgery. You had a neck problem. Is it better? Are you on the road to recovery for that?
Yeah. I first had this happen to me in 2007, 2008. That year of college as a freshman, and I was wrestling. Got dumped on my head. First episode of stingers that I've ever had. And then from there going forward, every year it got like progressively worse. I had to get MRIs back in college. I had bulging disc and some herniations from just the wear and tear of wrestling. And then it was just one of the weirdest things, with the Yan fight, like the first fight we were supposed to have, I was pushing through some pain and I was contemplating getting surgery before that and having to pull out of that fight because the pain was so unbearable. I got my first cortisone shot for that one. And then Jan ended up pulling out, which worked out for me. I was able to take off, do PT, heal up. And then the second fight, it had another bad flare up. And then once again, it just wasn't good. So I tried to work out because they wanted to have the rematch in May. I told them that was too soon. So then they offered June 12th. So we were going to do that. And then that didn't work out because as soon as I tried to work out to see where my body was at, I couldn't do push-ups. I hit the bag and I was feeling a burning sensation in my tricep. And then come to find out, I go get it looked at again, and it's the disc. It got right. Worse. Then there was a lot less space between the what do they call the foramen, the space where the spinal column goes through in the spine. Okay. So the spine is processed in the back where the bony part, like right where you touch your spine, and then there's like the two holes where there's like the big hole where the spinal column goes through, and then the side there's like some pinching over there. So it was not good. Oh. And as soon as I had the surgery, I woke up literally instantly. I had all my feeling back. I could look up without having no pinching. I could sleep. I can drive. I could stand. I can sit, no pain. And this is the best feeling. I'm like, man, I wish I felt like this my entire athletic career, because this could be. Things could have been different. It just sucks when you have to take a week off from training because you have a bad flare up. That's a real thing. So sometimes I miss out on a lot of work because I just can't physically do anything.
It's weird. I find out now in my career, like I'm 42, and like because I had 15 fights, and I was one of you young bucks back in the day. Not quite a champion level, but I find that if I quit working out, that's when my body goes to shit. Like it's like pretty much you have to stay strong for the rest of your life, dude. Like you can never go back weak again. Like when you start getting weak, that's when everything hurts. So like if I quit training for like a week or two, and like I completely go off my routine and I'm not training hard, my body falls apart. Like everything that's like holding everything together is like just weak sauce, dude. So that's when I'm getting all my injuries and feeling my body the worst.
Yeah, it's interesting. I would never have thought that. Because I take the time off so that I can heal up. But
yeah, it's true.
If you take time off, he kind of fall. Yeah,
I have to keep
so
my
that's
body
different.
strong to hold it together. That's I think that's what it boils down to. Are you somebody? I like to ask somebody of your level, just because you're such a high level, you're a champion, especially for people coming up right now. Do you study your opponents a lot? Like, do you like obsessively study their videos and like really strategize against them, or are you one that just kind of somewhat does it, or leaves it up to your coaches, or you don't care? I get all three answers, so I don't know.
Yeah, I do it a lot. I like to take video so I could see a sequence, and this way I could scrub through it, and I could try to find the openings, the holes, or which way they're moving if they're going the wrong way, or I can see the combinations that they throw a lot of, and then I could take that, bring it to the gym. Hey man, these are the positions I want to work on. These are the strikes I want you to throw, and I want you to throw it exactly the way that they're doing it, not the way you throw it. I need you to be this person. So I need you to look like this, stand like this, and give me that realistic look, as close and authentic as it can be. And that's the way I've been like almost my entire career. So I feel like that's helped me a lot. And that's why I also coach, because I feel like coaching has helped me when I coach in high school, and when I've coached at the high school and the college level. I felt like I learned a lot more about wrestling from the opposite side. And then when I was coaching, I started to realize the things that I could have done better because I just didn't know and didn't understand. So now the same thing for MMA, I've learned a lot more just by watching fights, something like a sequence, and watching someone like even like the Plessis knockout over Trevin Giles. Like, to watch how he did that after getting cracked with a good shot, and then seeing him come back bouncing off the cage and coming back and hit him clean on the chin. Like sequences like that, where it's like being in the right place, the right segment, knowing where you are in terms of position and in relation to your opponent, knowing what stance they're in, if they're square, catching them when they square, if they switch a lot, or catching them when they're backing up. Like little things like that, because everything's so different. Like everyone responds different. Some people have blind spots from underneath. They get hit more from uppercuts and shots from coming under. And some people have a hard time reacting to overhand rights or overhand lefts or straight punches straight down the middle. So there's just so much that goes on that with each opponent, it's so different. But if you understand what you're looking at when you see their fights, like, okay, this guy was having a lot of success with this. If I can replicate that and put my own little twist on it, I think I could have success as well. And I think that's kind of the way I like to try to break down fights and opponents.
Right. What is your typical fight camp like? Like a fight camp for you? Is it like 12 weeks? And what do you typically do throughout the week?
I like my training camps only being like 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you have it that long, you're just mentally drained and just talking about the fight, thinking about the fight.
But you kind of never stop when you get to your level. When you get to your level, you never really stop. So your off season, what you're talking about is when it's not in the 6 weeks, is your off season, but it's not really an off season. Really, it's full training.
Yeah. So I train year round. I think that's why it's a 6-week training camp. When I get an actual fight and we sign the contract, like that's perfect for me because now I could kick it up. Like I know when to turn it up a little bit. But for the most part, if I don't have a fight anytime on the radar, or it's like a month after a fight I just had, I'm usually training 3, sometimes to 5 days a week. So it really just depends on if something else comes up and I'm like, hey, you know what? I trained yesterday. I don't feel like doing that today. I don't have a fight. I'm going to go hang out and do this, So that's kind of the way my mentality works. But at the same time, I'm always trying to learn and just making sure I'm never like one of those guys who has to get ready,
Yeah.
But I want to make sure that the opportunity presents itself. It won't be too much of a stretch for me to kind of get my body prepped and primed to go.
And what about fight week? How much do you push yourself and how much do you relax during fight week? I've always been one to relax a lot. And I see a lot of guys push themselves like as if it's like the Olympics or something. And it's like fight week. I see them do it every time.
Yeah. I'm a little crazy like that. I've gotten better with getting my weight down earlier. So fight week, I try to start my fight week on a Sunday, waking up at like 50 and at 150. And then from there, start to slowly chip away so that by the time Tuesday comes, I'm hopefully like the last one. I think I came into fight week at 46, which was so good, just 10 pounds. But that last 10 pounds for me to take that off of my body is like, it's miserable. I'm pretty much skin and bones. And yeah, so it's not fun, but I would come in heavier and I could do more, but I would just be so shot, like just sore. Everything hurts. I got to do an ice bath the day after I weigh in, and it just wasn't fun. So now I do a little bit less, but I still have some high intensity workouts, but for the most part, they're just longer. So I'll do like a long drill session. It might be kind of like a lethargic looking thing, but they're still clean, still crisp. The main thing is just keeping the body moving, burn the calories, and just keep the sweat going. And it's something I enjoy doing. Like when I see people who get on the bike and they run for an hour, I'm like, that's not fun for me, like at all. I would hate if I had to do that. Maybe I'm going up a weight class, because that's not it, man. I see these guys like, yeah, I'm going to go on the treadmill for an hour in the morning and then an hour at night. My legs are destroyed after that. I don't really run in training camp. I run maybe once or twice. So to do that much running to lose weight, I'm like, yeah, I got to figure out a different way. So drilling has always been my bread and butter to lose weight. Just nice and easy, a good hour, a good steady pace, and sweats on, kind of like an old school wrestling workout.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, AKA Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
What got you into martial arts? So I know you started when you were like 21 fighting pro or amateur MMA, correct? You were born in 89, and then 2010 you started, and then so I think you're around 21, something like that.
Yeah, as a pro, 21, and I had my first amateur fight at 20. No, I think 19, while I was in college.
So what started it when you were a kid? Like what was the one thing that got you to where you were into martial arts and you went and tried it out and started pursuing it?
Well, I remember watching The Ultimate Fighter, the fight with Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner. That one I thought was the most insane thing I've ever seen.
I'm so old.
And like sometimes
you were watching old episodes of Ultimate Fighter. You weren't even watching the first episode. You were watching older episodes. That's so funny. All right, I'm old.
Seeing that, like, it would come on TV, but it would always come on at weird times. I didn't even know there was a thing called a TV guide where you could just look through to see what's coming on at certain times. So I would just randomly at night look through and search through every night because I'm like, oh, it came on around this time. So maybe if I skim through all the channels, I might find it again. And that's kind of how I would watch the fights. And when I got to college, I'm meeting Jon Jones and seeing that he was doing it. You know, I've always had an interest. I never thought it was a real thing. I just thought it was cool. And then after wrestling and seeing the success he was having, I was like, yeah, I think I could be good at this thing too, man. Like, so I messaged him and he had me come down to his gym, which was right that 5 minutes away from where I was now going to school because I transferred. And he was killing it, you know. And for me, that was me starting I trained for a month. I think I had my first amateur fight after that. And I did well, got the finish, I think in second round. Cut him with my first right hand that I threw. I was like, oh, man, that was scary. But I hit him I never busted nobody up like that. So I hit him with the first shot right in the beginning, like the first maybe 15 seconds, and I split him open. I'm like, yo, this is a crazy-ass sport. This is wild. And then from there, I just kind of I just fell in love with it, you know, and I just never looked back after that. And went pro 2011, and here I am today.
It's crazy when you think about it, because like, I was in the same position, but like it's crazy when you first start out and you're fighting, like especially on the lower levels, like you were talking about coming up, like the audience that was there, like the level of audience and level of people and the level of opponents. Like for me, I was always asking myself, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I entertaining these people? And like, why am I fighting this guy with like a fucking mohawk and a fucking and like cut off jean shorts? Like, what am I doing, dude? But for like what you said, there's like an alphaness to it, and like when you would win, it's just that feeling that would overcome you, like, wow, this is fucking savage. And so I'd just sign myself up for another one, and then I'd get back in there and I'd fight again, and it was a slow like progression like that. But I totally understand what you're saying. It's like it's a savagery, man, when you get in there and you fight somebody and you win, and you want to just keep doing it. I guess it's in our DNA.
Yeah, it's a very addicting feeling. It's almost like we're like modern day
gladiators. Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about Sandhagen versus Dillashaw coming up?
I think it's a great fight. I know those guys used to train together. I think Dillashaw probably left the gym for that specific reason. That's my guess. And there might be some other reasonings too, but I think that might have been a big part of that, seeing how good Sandhagen was at such a young spot and knowing that he might eventually have to fight him. And I think the frame of Sandhagen, him being more active, I think that's going to help him out a lot. And TJ, if he's still not cheating, if he's done cheating, I should say, because I truly believe he's been cheating ever since after the Danza fight where he got knocked out. And I think from there he made some big changes to his supplement diet. And you know what, man, if you feel, I guess if there's any way to cheat, I guess it's like that, because he made out. You know, he bought his boats, he bought his houses, he started his companies. So for a guy like that, you don't ever see too many guys cheat and actually get far. He got pretty far with the stuff that he was doing. And this is from his teammates even throwing him under the bus and talking about how long he's been doing it for, you know. So if he's not cheating anymore, hopefully his mad scientist, Calavita, is not trying to figure out other ways to get around the system and we can have a clean fight. And I just think he's too small I think without that stuff, he's too small. The EPO was huge for him in terms of cardio. And I think a guy like Sandhagen doesn't get tired. I think it's Sandhagen's fight to lose. You know, he's long, rangier, younger. I think a little probably more durable. And they have the familiarity with each other in terms of how they train with each other. Obviously, that was years ago, so they're both going to be very different. But you still kind of know what you did to the other person in the training room.
Right, absolutely. And what do you think about Tyron Woodley versus Jake Paul? And what do you think about this whole circus of boxers and YouTubers and basketball players and fighters and all this shit going on right now? It's entertaining. I've learned to kind of accept it, but going back to the main thing, what is your take on Woodley versus Jake Paul first, and just your thoughts on that?
I think it's an interesting fight only because of how Woodley has been fighting of late. You know, if it was like the Woodley on his way up, like there's no way this guy has a shot. Like this is not happening. But based on the way Woodley has been performing, the last one he fought well until he just left himself like super defensively irresponsible, where he got clipped where shots that he should never have gotten hit with. But that's the fight game. I think he just really, really wanted to pull the trigger to shut some people up. And I'm just glad he actually fought. Like, he didn't sit there passive against the cage the entire time. And it was a barn burner of a first round. Other than that, so I think Jake Paul is the better boxer of the Paul brothers. So he's got the size. It's a very interesting matchup because I don't know how good Paul really is. I don't think Woodley's that great of a boxer, but I know he has power. You know, people think that us MMA fighters are boxers. We're not boxers. We're MMA fighters. We have a mix of everything. You know, Woodley's proficient in wrestling. If it was a wrestling match, I'd take Woodley all day long. Yeah. You know, so it's just a little different. But I'm hoping that Woodley wins for the culture because we need that.
Yeah.
We need this one. We can't have another Ben Askren thing because that would just be I don't even know. At that point, I'm just like, I bring in all the YouTubers. These are the real guys now.
Yeah, well, it makes you feel better. I hate to jinx it, which like at this stage, I just I believe anything can possibly happen. But I was with Tyron for years when he was back in wild card boxing, and he was boxing with pros back then and doing really well, and he was spending a lot of time working on boxing every day. He was in Thailand a couple times, and his focus mitts and everything. Like I think he's on, and I think you're right. I think he's not a boxer per se. Like that's not his style. But I would say that he's definitely far enough along. It's going to be a surprise for Jake Paul. I think Jake Paul with so many yes men, and like you can sit here and act mean and say all this stuff you want, like I'm saying, but it's like in reality, you know it's true. Like you know what I'm talking about. You have yes men around you when you're famous and when you're successful at things. You have to imagine he has to have a certain amount of yes people around him, and that's not helping his decisions on fighting guys like Tyron Woodley, and as he gets to the level where he's fighting better and better fighters like that, he's gonna hate those guys when that second place comes. He's gonna fucking
100%. That's good to hear. The one thing I will say though is for Paul, I don't think he has anything to lose.
Yeah, that's another thing. He's a crazy bastard.
Yeah, that's the dynamic right there that I'm concerned about, because it's like this guy, he's gonna get a huge payday and he's gonna fight a big name, and for him, it's like a win-win. If he loses, it's like, okay, you should have lost to a guy who was a former world champion. But if he wins, it's like, damn, Willie, you should never have lost to this guy. And now this guy is going to continue the circus. So it's a weird spot. It's a spectacle fight for me, but it's still fun. I enjoy what they're doing because they're bringing attention and they're showing that there is money out there to be made for the fighters. And hopefully more of us can, or should I say, hopefully that the income or the paychecks increase for everybody as a whole, So I think that's the one thing I like that the Paul brothers are doing, and kind of exposing. I don't want to say expose because it makes it sound weird, but showing some light onto the sport that there is real revenue to be made with these fighters and these big fights.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And just lastly, before I leave, what about you? I know you're young right now, so I usually don't ask this question to young guys, but do you happen to have anything in your head right now that you're working, that you have like a goal for like 10 years after you fight or 5 years after you fight that you want to do?
I'm probably going to do a little bit more real estate. Hopefully, a couple more fights, a couple more wins. I can plug a nice seed here and there in some places that I would like to travel to. That's really the main goal. I think if I can have some rental properties that can make income, but I can also use it as a vacation house. So this way, if we want to go to California, we want to go to Florida, or if we want to stay in New York, we got our places that we can go visit. And at the same time, it could be a stream of income for us. And I think that's the way to do it. Set everything up from the means of fighting. I put my body on the line, which for yourself as well. And you want to make sure that you take away more from the sport than the sport takes away from you. So with that, and I'm just exploring all avenues. And the next thing, maybe some serious acting, not the stuff that people make the clown emojis for. But I'm actually in my first movie. It's called Grace Point. That should be coming out, I would think, towards the end of the year. I think they got to shop it around. I'm not sure how that whole Hollywood stuff works yet. I'm still kind of learning. But myself, Weidman, Dean Thomas, Andrew McCarthy, Jim Parrick, John Lowe, Rob Lowe's son.
Nice.
Sean Carrigan. So they had some really good actors, some up-and-coming actors as well. So I'm just hoping like the way everything gets edited. I think the shots that they showed us, like some of the daily clips, I'm like, dude, this looks amazing. The story is a great storyline, and I think it will hit home for a lot of people just about the message of overcoming and things like that with like addiction and that type of thing. So I'm looking forward to for that to come out. But like I said, it's my first movie. Hopefully there's more opportunities to come, and by the time I'm done fighting and I don't have the itch anymore, which happens to everybody, when you're getting your ass kicked, you're wondering like, why am I doing this still? So hopefully that doesn't come anytime soon, and when it is time to exit, I have all my other stuff kind of set up.
That's awesome, man, and I hope all that comes through for you. I'm very excited, and man, I love seeing young champs like you with bright minds and that ambition to just keep going forward. It's what I did, and I appreciate it. I wasn't a champion, but I had the ambition at least. But it's awesome to see that in you. And then I would love to get an update, man. So when you do get closer to the fight with Petr Yan, I would love for you to come back on. Just a real fast update, just a quick update, how camp has been going, how you've been feeling, everything. That'd be awesome to have you back on.
Okay, yeah. We'll get it coordinated.
All right, brother. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you.